Hi, everyone, and welcome to Looks Good From Here, the show where we're talking to designers, educators, and creative thinkers that are shaping what the web looks like and what it really takes to get there. In this episode, we're joined by the fabulous Krishna, a designer that's known for pushing boundaries with confidence and bringing others along for the ride. Krishna's work goes beyond great visuals. She's ambitious with her business, and she elevates people's online presence with clarity, intention, and momentum. When I think of Krishna, and we've met a few times in person, so it's always great to have a chat with someone when we've met as well, because I feel like I know a little more about you. And one thing that I always think about is how you confidently push your boundaries. You're always thinking about what the next thing is and what you can do better, and you enthusiastically encourage others around you to do the same. And I feel like that is such a gift that you bring to your clients. So hopefully we are able to share a little bit of this with you in the show. And Krishna, thank you so much for coming on and sharing about yourself. We're really excited.
Thank you so much. And actually, you hit the nail on the head with saying it's so much easier to speak to someone you've already spoken to. And it was such a nice thing to kind of introduce me. So thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, it's so good. I will never forget the first time that I met you. And it was at one of the Circle Days in New York. And we were staying at the same hotel, and we arranged to meet and walk together. And you were just such a breath of fresh air. I think you had some fabulous pink high heels on. And I was in my sneakers going, oh, maybe I should have put more effort in. But I loved that first meeting.
I do remember that. It was the I think you guys had the rooftop party at the very first Circle Day that I went to a couple of years ago. And I remember thinking, I've just got off the plane. This party or this get together starts in 2 hours. And it's going to take me an hour to get the hotel. But it was at the rooftop, and jet lag and all, just decided I've got to go because this is going to be amazing, right? And I remember going right to the top thinking, I know no one here. I literally do not know anyone. It's the other side of the world as well. So I've got to just get stuck in. And you and Nick were there with your smiling faces. And I thought, right, this is it. This is where I need to be. This is my people to some extent. It was brilliant.
It's so precious, isn't it? I think meeting up with people. And we always talk about this with Circle Day. If you haven't been to Circle Day and you have the opportunity to go, I would so recommend it, because we spend so much of our time doing these kind of virtual meetings and chatting to people. And then you kind of get together and you're like, oh, it's like my friends or my work colleagues are here and we kind of know each other, but actually meeting in person. And there's something really precious about that. And we were talking about this a little bit before we actually hit record about how we kind of still have this imposter syndrome as adults, being do we actually know what we're doing? And I think everyone goes to Circle Day with a little bit of that nerves of oh, am I going to fit in here? Will I be able to talk to people? And I have just seen it time and time again where you make these amazing connections, and what can feel like such an isolating job sometimes, suddenly you have these people that you know and work with regularly. And I think that's really precious.
And I think, again, on that point, it's because some of the times when we work online predominantly, we only ever see people online, on Zoom, kind of on social media, and actually seeing them in person is just such a nice human element to bring to the table as well. And you can kind of be real life. It kind of translates into real life, doesn't it? Because it's just nice to be kind of silly, but also fun, but also human, but also serious, because we're all kind of there for work to some extent and mingling. It's Circle Day is good. So it's very good.
That's good. And if you can't make it to the one in New York, there's lots of local meetups and things that are definitely worth it. And interesting always as well seeing how tall people are, because when we do this, you only see everyone's torso, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, you're way taller, way shorter than I expected.
That is everyone is always taller. I'm 5'2", so it's almost like I am literally surrounded by giants when I'm out. But I think it's okay. But I do get that a lot, and I'm thinking, you definitely. I didn't think you were that tall online.
Yeah, that's funny. Hey, well, let's start getting into a little bit of kind of the work that you do. And I think there's a lot about the way that you've set up your business and the way that you bring yourself to your business that I think is really unique. And I'm excited for people to learn a little bit from the way that you do things. You've been in this business for 8 years, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So I started using Squarespace about 8 years ago. Actually, my eldest is now nearly 11, so it's about 11 years ago. Because
you count it by the kids, eh?
I did count it by them, because that's when I started the business, thinking I'm on my mat leave. I'm just newly kind of been pushed into redundancy, and I want to go full time in the business. So I started looking for what I wanted to kind of focus on. That's when I found Squarespace and went full whack into it, because prior to that I was a WordPress developer and designer, and I knew all about that. Jumped ship into Squarespace, and I realized very early on that that's what I wanted to focus on. And then coming back to what you mentioned, like apparently I've got quite a unique way of doing things. Well, the business was just named on myself, which is why it was, and I felt like that was the best way to do it at that time. And yeah, it just means that my personal brand to some extent has been built in the process of building the business as well. It's been good fun, and it's not something I would shy away from either, because I think being the face of the business helps me to build the business. It builds that trust element as well. So yeah.
I think that's so cool. And, you know, when you kind of come in and you craft a business around the way that you want to do things, you do just bring these unique things along with you. And sometimes those can be good, and sometimes they can be things that we need to improve as we go along. But there's, yeah, so much of what I know of you, I think we see in the business, and that's really cool. One thing that I think really stands out is how you work with your clients and kind of the atmosphere that you create around your clients feeling really comfortable and really bringing themselves forward. I feel like when I see a website you've made, I can see who the website's built for. You know, I can see the person that you've made this website for. And I think that's really incredible how you capture that client's personality. Do you have any like tips of ways that you kind of create that environment where like a client can kind of bring that right from day one, where you've got like a project brief, or, you know, are there any early conversations that you have that helps you really capture that? Or is it more a process that you work alongside that client with throughout the whole project? Like, how do you set those up for success?
That is an amazing question. And actually, there's so many levels that I could answer that on. It's because every client is really different. So some of them really do need that hand holding. And, you know, we've got one at the moment where we're taking them from WordPress to Squarespace, and it's quite a big site. And internally, there is no one who's even tech led or leading it on their side. So I'm stepping in to be like the strategist, the lead kind of project manager. Everything that they need is what we're going to be bringing to the table to help them get through this. And at the same time, you have other clients. I have other clients who are just so with it, so on board and so on top of being organized that it is a breeze. So it kind of varies in which way it goes. The one thing I would say is I have a process which makes it a lot easier for me to understand what I need to do to help whatever that client situation is to get through. And that's what I think they appreciate. So the ones that need extra hand holding, we always cover the brief. So I always go in to try and understand what that client and that project needs. So we kind of set the tone for the project at the very start in the initial call. A lot of the times people have already come to me because they know what we do and what we can deliver for them. So it's almost like the upsell or the sell isn't really there, because they kind of already know that we're good at what we do, which sounds a bit pompous, but it's kind of, they know what we're doing to some extent, and they just want it to be done well. So that's kind of half of the battle of like winning the client or working through the process is already there, because they know we're process driven. The other side, when we've had clients who need that extra handholding, I will literally have those conversations with them from the very get-go and say, this is how we work. We've got a project management tool in place. We've got everything kind of tasked out. It's all very structured. And at each touch point and each kind of milestone, we walk them through it so that they feel confident in knowing what we're doing or what I'm doing. And we're able to kind of work together. It's always very clear. Our comms, whenever I speak to any of the clients, it's very clear. And like, if there's a problem with the design or if there's something they're not comfortable with, they should never feel that they can't kind of say it. A lot of the times, I think that designers might also get clients that say, oh, I hate this, I don't like this, you've got the wrong end of the stick, and you haven't delivered, or there's very kind of, it's bitty, the conversation from like, really, I'm not happy to, oh, I hate this client. And actually, I never want that to be the case. I always kind of encourage to say, you know, we have revision rounds. We have this open communication. So anytime you think something's going off kilter, let's talk about it. And let's kind of get to the point of, why is it not working? What do we need to fix? Because a lot of the times it is just communicating either the design or communicating from the client's perspective what hasn't been delivered or what they think hasn't been delivered, and then we can kind of work it out. So it's all about like client communication, transparency, just being really human as well, because at the end of the day, we're working with people. It's not like you've got someone who's a robot on the other side, or it's not AI that can kind of has no emotion to it. A bad day in their eyes could easily be like they're just taking it out on us for frustration, or taking it out on me because something's just triggered them. But that means there's got to be an element of like, it's okay, we can take a breather and come back to this in like another day when, it's not so stressful, or, whatever the situation, it can be managed. We're working with websites, right? So it's not life threatening. Is how I always try and say to myself anyway.
Yeah, it's such a generous response to when a client isn't meshing well, or, when something isn't going well. I think just taking that attitude, you can just see how much positivity that would bring to your work, and why you have clients that rave about you so much, because you just are bringing this attitude of going like, hey, I'm in this with you. We're going to succeed together. If something isn't going well, I'm here to help make that happen in a way that you like. I think that's really incredible. With this process, and I know it will be varied from client to client, like you said, each one comes with such different needs, but what's the kind of time frame that you're working at for someone like that? When you say you've got this like process driven kind of thing that you follow, is it a set amount of weeks, or does it vary from client to client? How do you kind of work that timeline?
It does vary from client to client. So we've got various different packages. The smallest package takes a week, which is, I know we're going to touch on it, but it's the website in the week, and it's a 5-day straight kind of, let's get the site up and running. And post other sizable projects, because we're also doing brand design as well. So it depends on what they need. If they're coming to us and saying we just need a website, which is 80% of the clients, they do say that. And then we actually go into asking them, okay, so you've got your branding in place, you've got your logos, you've got the visual identity there, right? And they're like, okay, so it could be worked on maybe, or yeah, we've got a logo and the colors we've tweaked over the years. So it's almost like, again, listening to their story, listening to where they're at in their own business journey, and then saying, okay, so we've got the option of either A, refreshing things, B, redesigning and rebranding, or C, kind of just using what you've got and moving you forward. But I give them the options, and then based on what they kind of need, we will then tailor the project. So if it's a small kind of 5-6 page thing, it can either be fitted into like a week's project. If it's something that's a little bit bigger, say 10 pages, it might take somewhere between like 2 to 4 weeks, maybe like even 4 to 6 weeks. Again, this all depends on the turnaround time of feedback that they can provide. I stipulate right from the very offset that, we're giving you this time frame that's 4 to 6 weeks, for example. But what this means is that if I give you designs on Monday, I expect a reply and I expect feedback by Tuesday, by latest Wednesday, so we can stay on track to deliver within that 4 to 6 week period. The longer you take providing feedback, the more chance it is that the timelines will slip. Because the other thing is we only try and take on one project at a time, or maybe it overlaps depending on how quick or big or slow the projects can be. And the overlap it started happening more as we've kind of grown and we're getting more inquiries coming through. But if that overlap happens, I can actually plan it to say, okay, this client's going to take 3 days because they've got a senior leadership team behind them, for example, that needs to feed into that. So it's not going to be a 24-hour turnaround. It's going to be a 3-day turnaround on anything, because it's, you're speaking to more people. There's more people who need design input. But if it's a founder or solo business owner, that communication is a lot quicker, because it's like to and fro. So it's almost like when I'm presenting, sometimes they can give the feedback straight on the call. Other times they'll want to review it, take 24 hours. So I can plan it based on those clients. And most of the time we kind of hit our timelines, because we kind of know, you're going on holiday, that means that we do our work, and if we're going on holiday, there's going to be a series of breaks in between. So it's easier to plan knowing that we've spoken to them, and we're not just going to go, yeah, it's going to take 3 weeks, and then we go MIA and don't get back to them, because no one will be happy about that.
No, it's a sure way of getting a very frustrated client. It sounds like that initial meeting that you have with your client is really important. Like you're actually kind of drafting that proposal as you're getting to know them and understand them. What does that first meeting look like? Are you sending them like an inquiry form? Are you meeting with them face to face and talking through a series of things? How do you actually do that initial contact?
So it depends on how the client has come through. So we get a lot of our clients come through to us, or the leads come through like via recommendations and referrals. That's
Hmm.
80% of how the like leads come through.
Wow.
And in that process, they've either already viewed the website, so packages are there, they can review everything. The only thing that's missing is the price point on there, and that kind of varies depending on the client as well.
Mhm.
Um, so when we have that initial conversation, for me, it's more a case of understanding if they're a good fit for us. So
Mhm.
it's just understanding if we're a good personality fit, if we are going to gel well throughout the whole project. It's not a case of, do I think that they're going to want to work with me? Because they've already done that bit. They're already here and they've already said, oh, so and so mentioned you. We just want to see what your timelines are like, or what your project look like, or how good, what you can do for us.
Mm.
And because they've already got that built-in trust, it's a little bit easier to understand. So then it's kind of tables have flipped. So I'm kind of vetting them as opposed to they're vetting me, which is quite a nice spot to be in, if I'm honest. And then at that
Yeah.
point, I'll speak to them and say, well, actually, this is how we work. This is the timelines. This is the packages. This is the revision rounds. This is the price point. I will literally tell them everything they want to know. We also have like some pages on the website that will go into all this detail in more depth. So they actually can vet that. They can look at that first and then they can kind of get in touch if they want to call with me as well. So it's almost like
Mm.
they can see everything transparently. Then we speak, and then it's a case of, do the timelines work out? Because a lot of the times we're quite fully booked in advance as well. So if it's a really short timeline, whether we can fit it in or not is a different thing, especially if it's a big project. So you can't expect to start tomorrow on a big project. And if it's a smaller thing, sure, we can handle that. It
Mm.
just means we've got a plan for it accordingly. And the other thing is, I always tell them that there's going to be a lot of prep that they need to do beforehand to make sure that the project goes to plan and goes really smoothly.
Mm.
Uh, One of the projects we're starting in a month's time. I've been speaking to my clients, and they booked in November, I'm going to say, something like that, to start in February, because that was the lead time.
Mhm.
And when they booked in, I kind of explained to them that, we've got all of this prep that I need you to do. I need the content for the website. I need the text, the images, the PDFs, the Vimeo links, everything, because we're moving them from WordPress. And it's quite a big site. And they openly actually came to me because they wanted to move from WordPress to Squarespace. And they were recommended, and realized that it's such an in-depth and such a big job that they need the hand holding as part of that.
Mm.
And because of that, I was like, okay, so let's kind of handhold you into where to save the files. It goes into that level, like set up a Google Drive, then we can set up the folders. We'll put images in the folders. We'll set up the document, and I will literally handhold them through all of that. And I don't mind
Wow.
that. I think that they need, if they've not done this before, they need that level of support to help them get through to it the other side.
Mm.
Um, and if you don't do it and you still take the job on, you're almost digging your own grave, because
Mhm.
it's going to be painful for you. And for me, it's all about giving that good client experience, because I love making websites. It's my joy to make sure that they get what they want and make it really good in the process. So yeah,
That's amazing, and clearly pays off with like 80% of your clients coming from referrals. That doesn't happen unless you do have really happy clients. So you can
yeah,
see the way that you've kind of created this process and you're setting your clients and yourself up for success is paying off in the fact that you were booked and you've got, 80% of those coming in from referrals from people that already trust you, and, that the flow on benefits from your business are obviously significant.
absolutely. I mean, I get a lot of people asking me, like, how do I even make that happen? And if I'm honest, sometimes I don't actually know the answer to it. All I know is that I'm kind of just, I go to events, I talk to people in the most normal way. I don't go there and be like, hey, I'm a Squarespace designer. You need to
Mm.
be on Squarespace and you need to have a website. I will literally go there and listen to and learn about what they're doing. And then before you know it, they're asking and we're having conversations about random things. I'm not expecting to come home with anything like a lead or anything like that, but that's I think where it starts. I went to a networking event on Tuesday last week, and it was the first one I'd been to for this particular industry and for the sector. And it's in Cambridge where I'm based, so it wasn't even
Mhm.
like other side of the world. But it was a whole new kind of event that I'd been to, and I've not been in a room with these kind of academics before. And I actually felt out of my depth, because everyone was academics. Everyone was like scientists, and I was thinking, what am I doing here? Because this is just so random for me to be here. But at the same light, I was thinking, scientists and people who are academics, they don't know anything about design. They don't know anything about websites. And actually, if I can help one person who's creating a startup that's doing something amazing for the world, why would I not want to go in there and try and help them and just have these conversations and hear about what they're doing and listen to what new invention they've got going? So it was a win-win for all of us, I think.
I love this. Is like hearing you talk. I'm just sitting here going, oh, this just confirms everything that I've ever thought about you. Like you're so genuine in what you do and in the way that you want to help people. And I love that you consider web design like a helping job, right? Like you're bringing these people's amazing projects to life on the internet where they can, can get visibility. And I love that attitude. And I think it so clearly shows through your work.
Thanks. I mean, it's not even just website design. It's logos and branding. It's literally any form of design. But I think the love of it came from because I love coding and I've always loved coding, and being able to hand code from scratch. That was my thing. So when I left university, I was like, right, what am I going to do? I've just nailed these two modules at university, and that's what I need to do. So I came out, and this is how old I am. So, bear with me. I kind of came out of uni. I got Sam's Teach Yourself books, which I still have on my desk here as a reminder of my background and where I've come from. And I kind of learned how to HTML and use Dreamweaver and do all of that kind of stuff. I don't even think YouTube was that big back then. So it wasn't even like I could go onto YouTube and find the tutorials. So it was literally just...
It was just Sneezing Panda back then.
It was pretty much like just Flash as well, learning how to use Flash and figuring it all out as you kind of went along. And I think that kind of thirst to want to do really well with knowing that you have no clue what you're doing, but you've got the knowledge to figure it out. I think that's kind of carried a lot of what I still do it now. Something I don't know, I will literally go and look it up and figure it out and try and do it, because everything is much more available. I mean, we have ChatGPT we can talk to all the time. It'll give us answers to some extent, right? How many YouTube videos are there out there on any random specific subject? You can find out what you need to learn. And there's so many great courses out there as well. I mean, so many that we can just all learn from. I don't think there's any opportunity or any reason to say like there's a personal development thing is holding me back. You've got to kind of put yourself into it and go.
Yeah, we are definitely in like the golden age of ability to learn things. That being said, just because we can learn things and because we are able to do all of these things, it's not always possible, right? Like there's time constraints and there's life, and we need to be realistic about that. And I know you have set up systems for yourself for things that you can't do, or maybe you don't have time to learn how to do them, or that I guess, like you've set up systems for your client projects, you've set up systems to help you with extending your team. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you do that, how you kind of pick people that you work with as your like trusted partners and contractors, and kind of what that system looks like for you?
Absolutely. So this is a really interesting question, because it was never my intention to kind of even have, well, it's twofold, right? So I'm a self-taught design developer, and when I was looking to work for an agency, ironically, I didn't have enough agency experience or background to be able to be hired by an agency, and it really, really got to me, and it really used to bug me. So I was like, well, actually, just because I'm self-taught doesn't mean I don't have the skill set as anyone else who's come out of university. And it always bugged me. So I remember I've always been freelancing on the side, and then various in-house design jobs. And when I was made redundant on my maternity leaves, I started going into freelancing, and then I jumped ship. And in essence, what turned into, I'm just going to do a bit of design on my freelancing and I'm on maternity leave, to setting up the business, to realizing, okay, I'm getting really busy here. What's my next step? What do I want to achieve? And I thought, well, one of the things that I was really restricted by was when I was working in house, I always felt that I was never given the opportunity to work flexibly, bring my best self to the table with my skill set. And being a mum, I kind of felt like there are so many amazing females out there that don't have the opportunity, because sometimes they've just not been given the opportunity by their bosses, or the time or the luxury of like being able to juggle everything. And ironically, I was thinking there's got to be a better way. And I wasn't going out to look for anyone, but they were coming to me. So I had lots of people, or I had my first designer, she actually emailed me and she was following me and she was on Instagram and she was like, oh my God, I really want to learn more about how you do the juggle of like the kids and work. And I find it really hard. And I'm thinking, okay, I can help you through this. And then just through conversation, I realized that she's a really great designer, but she's very early on. And I kind of took her on and said, okay, I can help you a little bit with mentoring you in your journey without having to kind of be strict on like, this is how you do it. This is what you should do. You've got to be really flexible. I realized that, okay, she's able to work in whatever ungodly hours she wants to work or however she wants to work, but her quality of work is amazing. And that's the bit that's key, because you don't have to micromanage different people and you don't have to have them all in the same room and you don't all have to be of the same skill set. Everyone has their own unique ways of working and they bring different things to the table. And so slowly, I realized, yeah, okay, let's take this designer on. And then I realized, okay, clients actually need a copywriter. I know so many copywriters. Which one would be an amazing person to bring to the team? So then it was like not I'd say interviewing, but having like normal conversations and Zoom calls, saying to people like, I'm looking for a copywriter, all of a sudden realizing there's like a handful of my network that I can talk to, then thinking, is this a good fit for a client who's is in this industry? Does the copywriter have the same experience? And slowly, my little black book decided to get like thicker and thicker. And it's just growing. And then before I knew it, there was designers, there's developers. And then I thought, well, this is the beauty of having almost what I now call a remote associate model agency. That's what I kind of think that I'm running it. I say because it changes as and when, and like it changes because I can change it. I'm the person behind the scenes. I'm the person who can make those calls. But actually, I love the fact that all the different people I bring onto the projects, most of them have actually approached me. I don't go out there and hang on, I need this person or I need that person. It's just by kind of conversations and just by keeping relationships with people and talking to maybe my clients, maybe my friends, and just hearing what's out there. And then knowing that there's someone I know I can lean on, and then having a conversation with them and thinking, oh yeah, you'd be a great fit. Let's kind of work together. And it's just happened organically, and that's it. The process there is, if I think, and once they've kind of signed on as a KSD associate, this is a bit more technical, but I think it might help with answering the long question anyway, or like the long answer anyway. If I think they're a good fit, I will always kind of think, okay, what's the best way to process this? Because it's not the first time I'm going to have an associate on. So there's a way we'll talk to each other. We'll make sure we're on the same page of like, when's the best time to kind of reach out to you? How long's your delivery time? And where are you in the world? Because if I'm emailing someone in the evening, should I expect a reply in the morning? Should I, it's flex. Understanding that. And then saying, okay, we're going to sign them on as an associate. If they're working on say, for example, a development project, then it's kind of having the steps that I would use for myself to make sure that client development of the site is going as per how I want it to go through. There's flexibility in what they do, but things like making sure the SEO, meta details and the titles and the images, all of that stuff, I have a good process in making sure that once you've uploaded them, all the images are optimized. It's not about cutting corners, and everyone's got to follow the same process. So almost understanding if the developer does that, if they don't, are they happy to learn on board how we do? And if they do that, then full autonomy, they can kind of carry on as long as it's getting done. There's no strict rules, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the KSD name that's going to be on the website, and it's got to be living up to the standard of what I want to put out there, what we want to put out there. It's got to be quality, because that's what brings in more work. That's what's generating that come back in. And so having a process behind the scenes with the team is just as important as having the process externally with the clients. Everyone's on the same page, right? So it makes it easier.
Wow. This is like, I feel like I'm getting a little insight into the web that kind of, or the web on the web that makes your business so successful. With those associates, do they speak to each other, or are they always communicating through you? So say you've got a developer working on something and they might need to connect with the copywriter. Are they speaking to each other, or is it always coming through you as kind of the filter?
Great question. So usually the copywriter is first, because we've done the copywriting element with the project and we need copy first. and then it goes through design, then it goes through development. 80% of the time, they don't speak to each other. And a lot of the time it is because they're introverted. They don't sometimes want to speak to like other people. They're just happy doing their thing behind the scenes, and it's fine. In the past, I have brought on copywriters face to face with clients, and we've been on the calls together, and we've done like the whole handover, whereas I'll sit in the background and let them do it. Or we've done it so that, the associates has done a recording, a Loom Zoom video kind of thing, recorded it, and I kind of watch it on double the speed to make sure everything's happening okay. And, we catch up. But most of the times they don't really speak to each other. And it's because they're at different phases of the project. They don't need to be. And it's worked out okay. I mean,
I imagine that gives you a good ability as well to kind of keep an overview over the project and making sure that that quality is the way that you want it and that you are understanding everything so you can communicate that to the client. And it sounds like a really smart process.
It is smart. I mean, it does also have its downsides of like, sometimes I'm the roadblock because it needs to move forward and it needs to kind of keep going so we can hit the timelines. But that's the choice I kind of have made. That's the kind of, not the sacrifice, but that's the balance I've kind of had by not bringing in a project manager to manage it all, because I still love doing that part of the job. And as any business owner, you have the opportunity to kind of make a call on, do you do the doing or do you delegate the doing, right? And when I realized that we were slowly growing into something that wasn't just me, I had to work out which bit I wanted to delegate and which bit I wanted to keep. And I did delegate. And then sometimes I realized like I missed that bit. I missed doing the doing, whether it's the design, whether it's the development. I like having my foot in the door or hands getting dirty into the design element. So I have to I pick and choose when it's best suited or me and also them. So I get the best of both worlds, which is quite selfish, but at the same time, it kind of works. So
I mean, it's your business, right? Like you've got to enjoy it. I think it's smart. It's one of the things that I found really interesting as you run a business and as you kind of grow in it is, I guess, understanding the bits that you really enjoy about it and the bits that you're really skilled at. And I've always kind of had this, I guess, mode of like playing with passing things over and then going, oh no, I really like that part. I actually want to keep a little bit of that so that I'm satisfied in my work. And actually I can pass this bit over to someone. And those little moments of enlightenment as you run your business and understand more about yourself and what your company needs. And I think it's this really interesting push-pull of passing different bits over and then holding bits for yourself that you do really enjoy.
it is exactly that. It's almost like you have to go through it to understand that you like it too much to hand it over, or you hate it that you can happily just hand it over and not think twice about it. I mean, you've got to go through it and got to be prepared to take that step to understand what it is that you want. I mean, so I've got a VA and she's amazing and she does all of like the admin stuff. She does the newsletters, which I hate doing. I'm just lost in that whole area, and it's just not my area of expertise. I did it for a few years when I was starting out in that specific bit, and it was so time consuming. I kept sitting here thinking, I'm pushing myself to do something time consuming that I don't like. Why am I doing this? What is it bringing me joy? Why is it not bringing me joy? And I realized, well, it's not bringing me joy because I don't want to do it. And I've just
Like
got to
Marie Kondo for your business.
yeah, you've got to kind of figure it out and then just make a call, give it to someone else, but just don't do it. And it was literally just that. So I was like, right, I'm going to make the call. I'm going to give it to someone else and I'm going to step back and then just let them handle it and figure it out. Like just answer the questions when I need to be answering stuff and then move on.
Yeah, brilliant. Hey, we touched on this just briefly earlier when you were kind of talking about your processes, but I want to make sure that we have a moment to dive into it. I could talk to you all day, but I don't think anyone else wants to sit here and listen to us ramble on together. So one thing I wanted to make sure we touched on was this piece that you launched in your business last year, the website in a week. I think it was last year you launched it. Is that right?
Correct. That's right.
Kind of making like more of a shift towards like productizing your services. And you talked a little bit about how you have that all listed. I'm interested in like what motivated you, I guess, to make that move, or, there was a development where you felt like that was really important for your business to kind of go more productized. And then like how your clients engage with those different products and I guess how you decide which product is right for which client.
Another great question. So it was last year that we did the website in a week, and brought that to the table. So essentially, we've always had productized services. All the packages we have are productized. So whether it's the designer for the day, which is essentially hire us for the day or hire me for the day, and we will do any elements of design for you, iconography, branding, website updates, whatever it is, right? That's always been productized. And actually, all the packages when I first started, they were also productized. It was very clear. You get X, Y, and Z within the X, Y, and Z time frame with this number of revisions, and that's the package. And what I realized was when I started out, I was working with small business owners, and it was really great. It was brilliant. They were predominantly like one-to-one, and it was very smooth sailing. That's where the background was. And we kind of grew really quickly from that. And after a certain point, I realized, okay, we're getting more projects that require a little bit more strategy, a little bit more thinking. Some of them require wireframing because it's such a complex design and build. So I started building out a package based on the first one, what looked like the complex package. So it became a Squarespace design. And then that kind of got carried away with like, they need bells and whistles plus wireframing plus all this technical stuff. And it kind of grew into something else. And before I'd known it, we'd had like a variation of one package and we've now got 4 or 5. But the website in the week one in particular was because with all the word of mouth that was happening and the referrals that were coming through, some of them were smaller business owners or independents or founders and startups that didn't have the finance for a big project. And they didn't need the finance for it. But it was almost like I was putting in too much thought and too much strategy, too much energy into trying to create something big that they didn't need. So I thought I need the basics and work out what it is that's going to be within a boundary of timeline, within revision rounds, and give them something that's going to really work and almost go back into like servicing these smaller businesses. And that's where the week came from, because to me, it's they don't need loads and loads of stuff. It's a 5-page package and it doesn't take that long to get it done. And it shouldn't take that long because it's only 5 pages. And actually, realistically, I'm pretty confident I can get it done in a day. So we could label it like website in a day, but I want it to be a bit more transparent, a bit more like comforting, give them the honesty, give them the transparency to review things, to make amends if they want to give them a little bit more thought. We did a website in a week before Christmas, and actually we did to get it done in 3 days. It was quick. It was so easy. And it was so thought through. But the packages actually have a lot of preparation that needs to get done beforehand. So the questionnaire and the content delivery, all of that gets done beforehand. And I think that's what makes the process and the package easier to sell, to want to do. And that's from both sides, not just from my side, but from their perspective, because they can see what's involved. So it's just to like put it all together in one little bundle and say, this is what it's called and this is what you need.
I love that it's come out of like a need that you saw for your clients. I think, it's the fact that it came so organically from going, actually, I saw clients and maybe they were willing to pay more, but actually they didn't need that. Or, they're just new and they just need something up quick and then they can develop, longer. And I just think that's a really, again, like a really genuine perspective that you bring to your business of creating this product that really serves your client uniquely. That's so awesome.
If the thing is, if they're coming to me and they want something that they know I can deliver, and as much as I can be flexible and be like, oh, I've only got this package A that's going to be really big, and this is where I see your business in like 2 years' time. If they can't do it right now, they're not going to be able to move forward, and they're going to find someone else, which they can do because there's so many great designers and developers out there. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I think it's more a case of just finding the right balance of what can I do to help them? If they don't need this big thing, they're going to need something that's going to be suited to what they need. And there were so many of them. I did feel bad because I kept whinging to my husband and saying like, we've got so many good things coming, and I keep feeling bad because we just don't have a specific thing, a package for them. Well, what's your problem? Why don't you just create one? I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. So, why not?
We have to give him a little credit there. Great.
I have to give him credit. I have to give him credit. So it's always like, why not just create it? And again, the flexibility of being a one person or one woman band, you can just do all of the hard work that needs to get done to try and get it done. And you are right. Maybe people don't have all the hours in the day, but my brain never turns off. I'm sorry, but it's constantly on.
That's so brilliant. It'll be really interesting to see, like, as the years go on, how many of these website in a week clients then come back and go, hey, my business has developed heaps, and actually now I need this really big website from you. Or, because you create such great relationships with your clients, I imagine a lot of them will come back as their business grows.
Absolutely. So the one that we did before Christmas, I sent them a reminder email because they wanted to book in a strategy day to make the whole website a bit more robust. That's
Uh,
because they had a quick timeline on it and they didn't have all of the content, didn't have everything ready, and they just needed a quick rebrand. And it was for an agency in New York. So we don't even have the case study up on the website yet because it was in Christmas and I haven't actually had time to even put it up, but that's fine. But she did actually already say, the founder, that, we're going to need more to the website. We need more case studies. We need to put in a blog. There's so much more we need to do. So I was like, that's fine. That's like a phase 2 that we can tag on and we can add on. And there's various ways that you can do that. So then I was explaining that bit to her. So she has the range of choices of whether she wants to book it in as a project for months on end, not months on end, but so it's planned, or whether she wants to have a designer day, whether she wants to do it in another week session. It's flexible because
yeah.
giving them the options, giving them the choice means that they can make an educated decision on what they want without me pushing them into have this thing and this is the way you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And repetitive clients are so valuable, aren't they? Because you don't
100%.
have to like reintroduce yourself every time or re-onboard them. Like they're just coming with so much knowledge of you and how you work. And so you can get into that work a lot quicker.
Yep. You don't have to do all of the hard selling anymore. It's all just they know you, they trust you, they want to work with you. It's so much easier. That's the beauty of building beautiful relationships with clients and friends and
Mhm.
like associates.
That's so good. Christian, that was amazing. I feel like you've just delivered so much value. And I'm sitting here like listening to you going, oh, maybe I should start a web design business. Like I could see. But I'm sure a lot of people listening are thinking that for themselves or are learning different ways that they might be able to tweak their services, which is incredible. But I would love to see some of your work. So let's dive into our reoccurring segments. And the first bit is, have you got something that you've built that you can show us?
So this is one of the things I'm really proud of because all of our services are all packaged up and they're all here for you to
Uh,
see. But this course is the thing that I'm most proud about on the website at the minute because it summarizes essentially how I work, how we work, and helps designers, service-based business owners to kind of do it their own way, do it in their own way, but be realistic in how to achieve it. It's
uh,
not out yet, but it's kind of like it's the starter kits available and it goes into the crux of how I run my business and how I've packaged up my services. Um, and I think it's one of the best things out there at the minute on my site. I mean, it
it
sounds really
looks
pompous,
fabulous.
but I could go into sharing any other page, but this is the page that
There's
kind of,
nothing wrong with being confident in your work, Krishna. It's beautiful.
this is true. This is true. And actually, confidence is something I actually strongly believe is some people have it naturally, but others have it with repetition. And it's a
Uh,
process you go through. It's something we
uh,
kind of, I think I mentioned it in one of these modules as well. That
Perfect.
it's you build your offer with confidence. It's like you've got to just put it out there essentially and refine it, and
Uh,
you get to the end. So yeah,
Beautiful.
actually, we're using a fictional designer in this case called Amelia, and we walk through the whole case study of how she's created a productized service and what the benefits of that are and how to create it and how to bring confidence in selling it. It's
Uh,
all it's all great, man. So yeah.
Amazing. Is that a SquareKicker back to top button that I see there?
It may be, yes. It is indeed.
In the early days of SquareKicker, that's how we could tell who had SquareKicker on their website. It was
Really?
like the back to top button because it was never a feature we expected to be as popular as it was, and it just went everywhere. And so we'd always be like, "Oh, that's a SquareKicker site."
I mean, considering how long this page is, it kind of needs it. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, such a
Doesn't it?
smooth rise to the top. That's beautiful. I love the way that you've put that walk through together, and it flows really, really beautifully. It's always hard
Well,
when there's a page with a lot of content to get it to look really cohesive. You've done a beautiful job.
thank you.
Do you want to then tell us about something that hasn't gone to plan at some point? Because we get to share these great stories and talk about how amazing our work is, and it's fun, but it isn't always good. Maybe there was a mistake or a misstep or something that just really ground your gears, that you can laugh about or that you've learned from.
Oh my God. Yes, there is one too many stories, because I think that it's the bad things that make the good things better, right?
Mm.
Um, I can't tell you about how many times I've not listened to my gut instinct when I'm thinking and having like a conversation with someone. I'm thinking this is going to be a difficult client potentially to work with, or am I going to get paid on time is the main thing, because they're telling me, oh, I've got this massive 60-day process and it takes a while for procurement or whatever it is to get through.
Mm.
And a lot of the times I've had the red flag feeling and I've gone against my gut, and it has been painful, because it's almost like I knew this was coming. Why did I say yes to this project? Or why did I kind of agree to this element of it when it could have been a lot smoother had I just picked the other client or the other project? But the thing is, you learn in every step, you learn in every moment. So for me, it's every time I've had something bad, or an incident where the project hasn't gone to plan, or the design hasn't landed very well with the clients, because it does happen. But I think, again, it's like talking to them, working it out, and justifying it to some extent to why those design decisions were made. They do happen, but there's a learning process in it. One of the things I actually learned more recently than not was, so we have a pause clause in our contracts.
Ooh.
That kind of says, if you decide to pause the project for whatever reason, that's fine, but you then have to rebook into the next available slot. So it's not going to be you coming back to me and saying, I need to pick it up next week. It might be that I'm not available for another 8 weeks, and that's the earliest spot. That's what you take. And actually what I'd realized was that's great to have, and we've leveraged it maybe once or twice. But more recently, I realized that I didn't have a restart fee in the contract either. So it's almost like if they push it back into 6 weeks later, I then need to relearn or re-engage my brain into the thing. And actually, if they've done some background research or something's changed in the 6 weeks that they've done, that's a new bit of a process there. So, I have to go back into the details of learning it. And because I didn't have that restart fee in there, it was almost like it's extra energy, extra time, extra everything that's going in to relearn the project had it not been delayed. So that was one of the things I'd learned recently, and I thought, right, I need to get my lawyer lady to get onto this and help me, and just kind of put that clause in again and refine it so that everything's covered.
That is such a good learning. That is so smart, because you're right. Like, it's all well and good pausing it and coming back, but so much can change in that gap, and your mental space moves on. And actually being paid for the time that it takes you to get back on board with that client is really smart.
It's something I didn't actually ever think of either before, because I was thinking, no, it's fine. You feel almost like, oh, it's okay, I can pick it up later. And you kind of make it feel so comfortable for them to be able to do that, that you put your own boundaries down and you don't respect your own timelines and boundaries. And as a business owner, I think it's only fair that it goes both ways. You don't always have to bend over backwards for clients, because to some extent you lose who you are, and you're so flexible, you can't build a process, you can't build something successful to move it forward. And that's what I've learned.
Often we're so quick to like devalue our own time, right? Like, oh, I can just spend some time catching up, but why should that not be paid for? And it's really, really wise to keep that in balance and go, no, like that is time that is costing me, whether it's costing you and pushing off another client, or it's costing you time with your family. Like, there is a trade-off whenever you spend time working with a client. So really smart.
And I think I would never have
learning
learned
our way through, Krishna.
Exactly. You would never have learned to do that had I not made the mistake, or them not kind of done that. So it's almost like you have to take it as a positive anyway. Whatever's happened, you got to spin it around. I always have to spin it around. And I think my kids and my husband get really annoyed when I'm like, just where's the positive spin in this? Where's like, so you've bumped your knee. So next time, not to walk into the table, right?
Oh my gosh, I do that with my kids all the time. They're like, Mom, sometimes I just want to complain about something without you having to like try and make it learning. Like, okay.
It's not everything is a learning point, is what I hear.
But in business, it is.
It is, exactly.
Absolutely. Outside of work then, like, how do you recharge yourself? How do you kind of come back with all this energy that your business obviously takes. Like, what do you do to give yourself something back? How do you stay creative?
That is good. So you might think this is crazy, but I actually do. I found myself learning a new routine about myself. So I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning essentially because my brain is already awake and I have so much energy that I feel like I need to do something with it. And essentially, I go to the gym at like 6 o'clock in the morning in the mornings, do my workout, and I've exerted so much physical energy. My brain is just ready to go. So by the time I've come home, kids are getting ready, getting them ready. They go to school, and then I sit down to work, and it's a solid 9 till 3. Yes, I'll breathe and, blink every now and again, have a bit of
It's
water and
important.
go for
Yeah.
a walk. The food element, I need to remind myself every now and again that I should eat. But yeah, there's something we're working on for 2026, right? But aside from that, I'm so busy with the kids when I'm not working in the business that the creativity often comes from like literally just putting my phone down and spending time with them.
Mm.
One of the things we started, which I don't think I've shared online yet. So one of the things I've started last year was I wanted my kids to enjoy being able to be independent, self-sufficient. And I know, look, they're like 11 going on 18 and, 7 going on 13. There's a lot of attitude, there's a lot of sass, and there's a lot of like, they're girls. There's a lot of all of that. And I
I
thought, well, the world
understand.
needs more independent, strong women. So what can we do to kind of help them, help me, all of us together? So
Mm.
anyway, long story short, we've decided last year in about January, February time, so it is coming up to a year, to do a Korean martial art class.
Oh.
So all three, I know, I bet you weren't expecting that, were you? So we
So
do this
full of
Korean martial
surprises.
arts and it's been really good. It's honestly been the best thing ever because it switches me off and away from my computer screen. We're doing
Mm.
something together that's progressively teaching us something, and there's the learning development element to it. And we're getting graded, so we have to learn. It's not just about
Mm.
flinging your arms around or anything like that. We're actually learning like the stages of getting through it all, the discipline that's required, the energy and the understanding, all of that, all of the stuff that I can kind of translate into business. It's
Mm.
teaching me to kind of do it in a flexible, creative way. Um, and it's brilliant. I love it. It's kind of, there's always something additional. Before that, I was avidly playing netball and I was part of a netball team and I was coaching a netball team as well. Um, Before that, I was sewing. So there's always a creative outlet because I believe you need to have
Mm.
something. But this one's
Mhm.
probably gonna be the one that sticks because I can see that I wanna be a black belter at some point.
That's so cool, and I love that you do it together as a family. It's like, it's that double bonus of getting to do something for yourself, but having that connection with your kids,
But
which is
also, it's like,
awesome.
as a mum, I teach the kids to, you gotta commit to something. You gotta be
Mhm.
committed, even if it's hard and you struggle through with it, and you've got to kind of find your own way to get through, right? And I think there's a life lesson in that anyway. So you might struggle with it, but you've got to kind of push through and find your energy to kind of keep going. And actually,
Yeah.
my eldest said, "No, no, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to be involved." And then she realized that me and my youngest are really enjoying this, and we've got our like, we walk to the venue because it's only down the road from us, and we have our own little time together. And then she
Mm.
realized that she's missing out on that and wanted to join. But also, it means that when we're in our free time, when we're like at home and chilling, we can do the steps and teach each other at the same time and talk
Mhm.
about what the terminology is and what the steps are and when we're going to grade. And it's just, it's not mum who's being like annoying, and it's not work, and it's not homework, it brings it all together. So it's a bit real and life.
So
That's
cool.
what life is, isn't it though? So
I love that. That's brilliant. That is definitely a more unique answer that we've had to that question, and I'm all on board. I'm gonna sign my kids up. We're gonna go do it.
awesome.
Hey, before we wrap up, I'd love to give you the opportunity to share anything that you're working on that you might want to share with our audience, if they've got something that you are launching, or like maybe the course that you showed us earlier. Like, what's going on for you that might be interesting to share?
Do you want me to share my screen again? Because that's
Sure,
doable.
yeah, if that's the best way of doing it, I'd
Well,
love to.
before I have shared the screen, it is the course, if I'm honest,
Yeah.
because
Oh.
I learned like, so last year, when I was not last year, year before last, I was one of the speakers at the 2024 Circle Day, and I
Mm.
was on stage, and that was probably my first opportunity where I kind of was directly speaking to designers and Squarespaces. And it was almost like I've not been in that environment before. It was brilliant. I've spoken about work before, but actually looking and talking to designers and people, we're all on the same page. I kind of felt like the universe was pushing me into that direction, and it was great. I loved it. And I had an idea to do a course back then, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. It was going to be processes, and then I delayed it because I thought, this is all new to me. I don't want to get into something that's, imposter syndrome had kicked in. I don't do courses. I don't know what I'm doing in this area. I'm just going to ignore it. So I ignored it. And I'll be honest, that's exactly what my take was. Fast forward like about 6 months. And then I did Kate Scott's summit last year. And we touched upon productized services, and she didn't realize that that's what I actually have built my business on. And she was like, that is such a brilliant topic. And then it kind of turned into like, oh, okay, so you're not the only person who's actually keeps telling me about these productized services. It's such a good idea. And, a lot more people keep coming and saying, how do you do this thing? And how did you build this? And what was the price point? And how did you work the contract out? And so many details about it. So I thought, right, definitely something here. And then fast forward when the summit had happened, by the end of the summit, I was speaking to Becca Harpane, and she had also then decided that she told me she was going on mat leave, and she was offering the borrow my YouTube channel for the week. So then she offered me a spot. So I was like, oh my God, how can I not go on this and do this thing? So I was like, it's got to happen. And then by this time I was like, well, I honestly, I openly said to Becca, I'm not really a YouTuber. I don't have a YouTube background. It's not something I can go into, but what about this? I'm thinking about this course. And she's like, I think that's amazing. And she then encouraged me to do it as well. And I was like, right, you know what? The universe is pushing me into this. It's saying service these designers because there's probably going to be some need where someone wants to learn what I've done in my business in that sense. So that's where it came from. So I thought, right, let's get the ball rolling. About September, October, November. So like Q4 last year is when I basically started thinking about putting a course together. And it's called Productizing Your Services to Simplify, Streamline, and Create Something that you can then sell as a package. You said the site, but it's fine. And by the end of the year, I had, with the help of a friend, we had come together and created the course content and put everything together, got the landing page up and ready, and done the videos. Currently the lessons are being edited this week. So it's almost like it's still very fresh. It's still very new, and it's all very exciting as well.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's because it's so new. It's like I'm still learning as part of the process. And actually that was one of, because I was like, I know how to make websites. I can do the branding. I can do all of that. What's my next challenge? What can I do that's going to be maybe servicing a different audience? And that's where it came from. Essentially, it's like, maybe I should be helping Squarespace designers and service-based business owners to productize their services and give them a little route in how to do that. So the course is going to be launched in the next, I said 2026, but I'm kind of hoping it will be in Q1 in spring. Awesome. I say kind of because we're still working through putting the wheels in motion for beta launch and then actual launch. So yeah, that's what's coming in. It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
If today's conversation is any little snippet as to the value that you were going to pack into that course, I'm sure that you are going to deliver so much to people in there. So we'll make sure that we chuck some links in the descriptions and things so that people can connect in with you and watch for when that comes out. That sounds fabulous. I'm so excited that you had that push to put it together.
Thank you. Yeah, it was almost, I don't know, universe saying, you've got to do it now. You've got to do it now. Just make it up.
It is time. That's brilliant. Hey, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today. I just feel like I need to listen to this back again already because you delivered so many great little snippets and insights into the way that you work. And I'm so inspired by hearing how you interact with your clients and the attitude that you bring to life and your business and just everything that you do. So really appreciate you sharing that with me and our audience. Like I said, we'll put links to your work and ways to connect with you below. Thanks everyone for joining us on Looks Good From Here. We hope that you've enjoyed this session. We are going to be taking a pause on the podcast for now. So we hope you've enjoyed the series. If you've missed any, go back and listen to those. And if you're enjoying these conversations, make sure you let us know in the comments. We will talk to you later, Krishna. I look forward to seeing you again in person soon.
Yes, hopefully. And thanks for having me.